It was a secret project they were working on. I didn't even know what I was signing for. It was for David Bowie. So my first actual job in the VR world was building an augmented reality exhibition with Victoria and Albert Museum and the Brooklyn Museum of New York about David Bowie's life. So I got to spend almost a year walking around this beautiful David Bowie's archive, digitalize it, I could 3D scan it, and then build a world in an AR exhibition. My name is Pi Bada, and I actually work as a digital technologist. I'm a technical program manager, and my specialty is virtual worlds, augmented reality, and most recently, neural interfaces. The first time I was introduced to VR, it was in the 90s, I'm not gonna say what year, and I was 7 years old. We're just playing around, and I remember they asked for a volunteer on a demo for virtual reality. It was a very simple, very bad polygonal virtual world, but that made me think, wait a second, I am here wearing this gigantic headset, and then I'm at the same time in reality, but I'm also on a digital reality that opened up a curiosity mind that made me like trying to create virtual worlds and worlds where you can inhabit anywhere, right? But I was 7 years old. How am I going to do that? So like drawing and painting and creating all that. But then I knew deep down, because I had that virtual reality experience, that you can do it. So I think that was an eye-opening and led me to become an engineer. I become an industrial engineer, very far removed, because it was one of the few places where I can do 3D. And back in the day, many years ago, you couldn't learn 3D in public university, and industrial design was one of the few places that offer 3D virtual environments. And that's when I enrolled and continued to do that until I think 2013. That's when I found VR was having a comeback. That was a phenomenal moment. My brother is, luckily for me, a director of virtual games, and he directs a school here in Spain. And he's, you know what? We have this new prototype of VR. You want to try it? And I'm like, sure. So I put it on. And again, I was 7 years old, and suddenly I'm like, oh my God, is this a thing? Can I work on this? And this could be a job? Oh, I couldn't even believe that was a thing that people were doing now and adults were doing. Absolutely decided to just stop whatever I was doing, stop on my tracks, and just went back to school. That was hard because I was already in my mid-career, in my 20s. Went back to school, not anywhere, but to New York, because New York was the only place in the world that offered a certificate in VR creation. So I went to New York Film Academy, pack all my stuff, moved to New York, barely speak any English, went there and studied in New York Film Academy VR production. And from there, I think it was just like a lot of coincidences that helped me continue to build worlds. But eventually, when I look back, how do you got here? Is that 7-year-old that she just felt curiosity, and curiosity was feeling that drive to learn more. How can we build realities that are beyond the current reality? And that's pretty much what I still try to do.
For so many people, it might sound something completely abstract. Can you tell us a little bit what actually means doing VR?
How do we build VR worlds? VR is a spectrum. I think AR is also something we can build. But when you start thinking about immersive experiences, I go back to theater. I am a theater kid, and I love doing theater. I grew up in theater. My family, they're musicians and actors. So you know when you go to the movies and it's a movie theater, right? That the environment is changing. And this musical, suddenly something comes from the sky and you're immersed. More if you like theater that is immersive. So when you're building a VR world, it feels a lot like doing the world for theater. It sounds abstract, but at the same time, you're just placing objects in space. Any architect knows this in the world. Any person who creates 3D installations knows this in the world. Any interior designer knows this, right? How to place things around where you can interact with them. And you just do it instead of doing it in real life with objects that you just have to actually, they're heavy and you have to move them. It's even better. You just have a program, a software that you can use. There are many out there. You can learn how to use these softwares and place objects in space and make them interact with the user, or with, I like to call more the player, because it's more like a play experience. But very similarly, when I go back, this is actually a lot of like theater when I'm building it. When you're doing things at scale, like we do at Meta, we do things for billions of users. You have to make sure that you are building something that everybody can use, and you need a big team. You're doing a world that everybody can use, so you may have to hire 100 engineers to do probably a few more virtual worlds. But at the end of the day, it's very, very similar to how you do a renovation for an apartment or like an entire set for a theater. We don't think about coding in that way, but when I look back, this is absolutely going back to theater.
Is a dream job?
Dream job. I hate that word. I hate the concept of dream job, because you're going to get disappointed if you dream job. Definitely, I love the idea of being able to pay my bills by doing something that's incredibly interesting and that also helps me grow intellectually. But no job, there is no job that's a dream job, because you have to put with a lot of boring stuff. Some days you're gonna hate it and you're gonna be like, oh no, I hate this, because what am I doing with my life? I hate doing that, and this is not my dream job. Then I realized there is no dream job. You just have to find a job that you like enough and that it doesn't suck in your mind palace. But there is always gonna be bad days, and I honestly, so there's a few days in my life where I am like having fun and it's worth it.
What the bad day looks like?
Currently, I'm a TPM. That stands for Technical Program Manager. Almost every day something's broken and I have to fix it, or I have to find someone to fix it. So we are on constant edge when being a TPM. So a bad day will be, I woke up and something broke terribly. We broke in production, right? When I call production, is like the user, the people that are using our apps can see that we broke stuff. So we have to fire alarms. And when I'm saying alarms, are alarms. Your phone will bang. You will have to wake up someone who's very angry in London right now, because I'm in New York, they're in London, I have to wake them up. They yell at you, but you have to take it because you have to fix the problem. You raise the alarms, you get the engineers working on fixing the problem. Then another problem breaks out on another of the many apps you are working on, right? Because no one's working just in one app. So suddenly we have another breakage and I have to wake up another engineer. Maybe this one is in India. We have to fix the problem, and it feels like an emergency hospital, but no one's dying. There is no one's dying, but the emergency and the urgency of fixing these problems is the same as saving a baby from a fire. But at the end of the day, it's just like a broken app in production. And maybe that day, if you're lucky, you do your shift, because we work almost like hospital shifts. And I finish my shift and I'm exhausted because we finally fixed it. But it's been the entire day. Your cortisol levels have been spiking. And that could be 3 days out of a week for me, not right now, in the problem space that I'm managing. So it sounds very silly because no one's dying, but at the same time, the emergency is the same emergency that you could find in a hospital. Because we had teams in London and in India, so there is never a good time to sleep. So I wake up immediately around 6 a.m., 7 a.m. First thing, just head into what broke tonight and who needs something. I didn't bring myself a space to exist, to wake up properly, to do anything else. I will shower, get ready, get dressed, and run to the door. Luckily for me, and this is a luxury in New York, I live 20 minutes walk from the office. So those 20 minutes of walk was my secret space where I could just get some sunlight in my face. I get myself into my lovely teammates setup, which is the most positive thing that I got from the Meta office. And I will do what broke, how can we fix this? What are the problems we're dealing with? What are our political enemies? Who's trying to tear us down? Let me prepare a meeting, let me do another meeting. And pretty much I will just do that the entire day, probably eat and have dinner in the office. You don't sit and eat, you inhale the food. And by 9 p.m., if I'm lucky, I'm leaving the office and I do those other 20 minutes back. and then straight to maybe finish a document until I collapsed around 12. I will dream working. I used to joke that they have to pay me double because all my dreams were about work. So I continued to solve problems while asleep, sometimes to the point where I woke up and I thought I had a meeting, and then I'm talking to my peers, and then, yeah, we discussed that in the meeting, and I'm like, no, we never had that meeting. So I had like imaginary meetings where I will solve problems, and then I realized, oh, I actually didn't have the meeting, so I have to redo it. Or dreams where I fix a problem or I fix a document, and then I realized I woke up in the morning, I'm like, oh, I didn't fix that. So I worked double. I worked during my wake hours and I worked during my dream hours. Pretty much all my dreams were about work, nothing else. That, plus all the political tensions, which is the part I don't like about work, led me to burnout. And I'm gonna pause here because this is serious, but burnout is real. I was the one who said, oh, dragon cannot get burned by fire. That's all stupid. If you're not a dragon, you're a person, and it's not fire, it's work. I was a naysayer. I thought they were just people that were lazy or were having some problem. No, I was wrong, and I admit it. And I burn out, and the worst is that I didn't see it coming because I thought that it did not exist. It hits you like a rock. It doesn't negotiate with you because you're being burned for so slowly, for so long that you didn't see you're almost just gone. I had severe neurological impact. So I decided to quit immediately instead of taking FML or taking leave of absence. Although it was offered to me, I was still in the work mode. So I thought that only weak people take leave. It feels like when you get a leave, it's like weakness. So instead of that, I just resigned and took care of myself. Now, let me talk about my 9 to 5 now, because it's very important. The day does not start with work. The work is just something that happens during the assigned hours. And it took me years to figure this out. It's not an easy thing. It took me years to understand how you have to protect yourself. So I just wake up in the morning. I take care of myself. I eat properly, nutrition, hydration. I go get my sunlight every morning. I go and ensure I get my photons into my retina, very important stuff. I exercise. I am allergic to exercise, but I do it anyway. So I go to the gym. I do whatever I have to do. I do the cardio that I don't like. And I eat my protein and my veggies, which I'm not hungry in the mornings, but I know I have to do it because it's going to lower my cortisol levels. And then when I am finally done, I can study in the morning. I can just be 1 hour just studying physics. And I'm like, oh, this is great. I can learn something today. Then is when I log in. But I never give more than 1 minute to my employer. I'm working exactly the hours that I'm supposed to be working, no more, which in America, it's almost like an act of defiance. I only do the hours they pay me for. I go into work mode. Beast mode, I just fix all the problems we have to fix. I am engaged, present. Then I try to get 30 minutes to eat food consciously. I don't inhale the food anymore. When I hit my 8 hours, I just unplug everything. I'm like, I'm not here anymore. My headspace does not work. I close it. This is so hard to do because I was a person that could just do this. Work was her life, not work, but my passion. But now I realize that no, you have to close the laptop and do anything else. I try to just meet with some friends. It's very important to put that and not talk about work. Just talk to your friends about whatever. That is life for the brain.
What's the impact of your work?
The word impact, literally, that's the currency. We measure our value on impact. What I do ends in the hands of millions of people. Even there is a little piece of me in it. And I'm hoping that I want to see more diverse people like myself. I'm the only woman on my team. So I just want to see more of me, more of diversity, not of me, but of diversity in teams where the technology is going to touch so many people, right? So even I'm just like a grain of sand in a beach, but I feel like we need to be in the machine. The soul needs to be in the machine. We deliver product to a lot of folks. I want everybody to know that there is soul in the machine, even for super corporations that have terrible reputation like Meta. There are people out there inside making it work and ensuring that we put our best selves there and ensuring that we're making it as ethical as possible. Right now, that's what I'm trying to do. That's the impact I'm trying to bring. And obviously, being a reference, I like to see more women in STEM. So please come and study engineering or science. We'd like to see you. We don't see you a lot. And I'm seeing more and more younger kids going into STEM, having those references. So to me, that's the impact, and probably in the future will change. But in the moment where I am and my life is to be that grain of sand in this beach.
AI is revolutionizing the world. How this impacts at your work?
So AI, big topic, big, and at my work, AI is first. I run the AI app for Meta. I manage the releases. We already see that on our day-to-day. AI is impacting everything we do. I use it. Everybody uses it. We're also working with teams that are trying to reach super intelligence. So we're seeing it as a tool and a guide. Obviously, we're not in the right spot yet for it to replace us. So no worry yet. For the worlds that I enjoy, for virtual reality, augmented reality, and neural interfaces, AI is an engine, is a machine that helps us reach better outcomes. For example, I will not be able to do any of the things I do if I didn't have an assistant in AI, right? I have an internal assistant that help me run. I run 3 products now. I wouldn't be able to do it. I can't tell where we're heading. I want to give a shout out to our teams of neural interfaces that do machine learning. Machine learning is critical to do things like helping us to decipher a human input, like our electrical movements in our hand, to turn that into digital movements like input. But that could be used for the good. For example, the same machine can be used for helping people that are paralyzed to move in VR or to talk. You lose your ability to move your mouth and to pronounce or to push air, but your muscles that control language are still connected to your skull. So you can use that machine learning to create digital speech. So shout out to also the good things that are coming, not only the scary ones. I'm trying to be an AI optimistic so far. Let's see, let's ask me in 10 years.
What advice would you give to other women in getting into tech?
I want to see more diversity in tech, not just women. Let's put it this way. We are seeing much of the same profile. I want to see more diversity, whatever that means. But yes, this message is for women or people who identify as women and they don't think tech is their spot or STEM. This is your spot. This is yours to take. Salaries are higher here. When you see that things are skewing masculine, salaries rise. I'm not very comfortable with that concept. So we have to take space as well as be part of it, part of the movement, because you love it. You love it. But a lot of my friends didn't know they love technology until they start doing it. One of the things that if you just mid-career doing something else, right? Let's say you're a lawyer or you're doing something, but you would like to pivot to tech. You can do it at any stage of your life. I did it when I was my late 20s, early 30s. The first line of code I shipped, I was 31 and I was an intern. Now I'm 40 and I'm continuing to learn. So age is not a problem. Just find your spot, your interests. It doesn't have to be your archetypical tech bro. You can find a space that you love or you want to make a difference. And just go to town, go to meetups, go to hackathons. All I did for years was to go to hackathons. And I wasn't being invited. I just inserted myself in MIT, like several years until they knew me. And they're like, oh yeah, you're Pi, right? And I'm like, yeah. So I insert myself in MIT hackathons constantly. I won 3 of them. And I was an absolute outsider. I always identify as someone who felt insecure, but I still did it. So just go to events, hackathons, meetups, meet people that have those interests and continue to be curious. Feel like an imposter, that's fine. Everybody feels, let me tell you, everybody feels like an imposter. You're gonna feel like an imposter too. And if you don't, you're weird. So just go for it. Just do it. Don't wait for anybody to give you permission. Insert yourself in places. Do it with a smile and warmth. Don't look like a psycho and have composure. But just go for whatever you want to do. We want you and we will welcome you.